This conference
This
will now be
conference will
recorded.
now be recorded.
Visual. So Kimberly, you think, huh? You left it out.
Yep, nix it.
Make her come in.
Give her a breeze. She's been doing really good.
Jackie, can you hear us and see us okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks, Jackie. Have a good day. That's Nicole Brothwaite.
It's nice that they bring
Hi,
their
Jamie.
name, type their names in. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
I know. When your church bells went up, and I was like, my mother called me. I was like,
Yep, it's 8 o'clock.
Okay, would everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everyone. First order of business is to approve the agenda. Do we have any changes?
One addition, Mr. Chairman, if you're inclined to do so, over the weekend, you got notice from the governor's office indicating the holiday schedule for the state folks. Of course, your personnel policy allows you the flexibility to recognize most holidays if you want to. So there could be a discussion about that under general business.
Okay.
Other than that, I know no changes.
Move to approve the agenda with the added item.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Do we have any conflicts, Randy?
I do have one, Mr. Chairman. The 930 Salmons Inc.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. We need approval of our minutes from the last meeting.
Move to approve the best minutes in the county.
Second. Okay, motion and a second for approval of the minutes. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Bills.
Somebody online has their microphone open. Could you please read that for us, please? Thank you.
Okay.
My questions have been answered.
Yep, I have none. Anyone else? Good. Okay. Entertain a motion for approval of the bills.
Move to approve the bills as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Again, somebody online has their microphone open. Can you please mute that? It was whoever just joined, I think.
By phone. Somebody
Yeah, by phone.
Auditor's account with the treasurer.
You can mute it too, I think.
Okay, as of September 30th, 2023, total amount of deposits in the banks is $53,818,361. In that, included in that total is the $5 million in CDs at Colliers. Bank balance, $23,801,085.50. U.S. bank balance of $23,385,779.95. Money market, $1,631,495.55. Total amount of actual cash is $1,350. Amount of checks in the treasurer's possession not exceeding 3 days is $86,654.79. And then total cash in the treasurer's possession, $6,343.94. Petty cash, $2,725, for a total of $53,915,434.73.
Okay, gentlemen, what's your pleasure on that?
Move approval of the auditor's account with the treasurer.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Personnel.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the classification changes for Kimberly Atkins and Michael Harris as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Travel requests.
I have none. Did you
Come in, pardon
did you
me?
wanna do the holiday?
Sure, we can do that right now.
We got a letter stating that the governor has declared November 24th, which the day after Thanksgiving, which our personnel manual already allows for that, so that's not an issue. The other one is she's granting administrative leave for Tuesday, December 26th, and that is the date after Christmas. We do have a commissioner's meeting scheduled on that day, so if you do allow that, we have to change our commissioner's schedule to either Wednesday or Thursday. So
Questions, if I may, Mr. Chairman? She did that because Christmas Eve is a Sunday, is that right?
So, yeah, Christmas Eve, Monday is Christmas Day, and then you have to give a extra day. That's what she says in the letter.
I would move that we hold our meeting on Tuesday as scheduled.
I would second that. So, yeah, I understand what you're doing there.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on to continue to have our meeting as stated. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, amended resolution 2023-16. Brenda?
Okay. So the reason that this is being brought before you again at this meeting is we had that when you have a TIF, you have growth in the TIF. It's called new construction growth, and that does not become available for increase in growth until the TIF has been resolved. So when the calculation got done to remove that TIF valuation, it got done for 24 payable in 25 instead of 23 payable in 24. So that value had to be removed, and then the growth percentage had to be redone. There was all the ones that had the TIF, so the Spearfish, Whitewood, Redwood County, and then of course the school districts that are in that as well. So I reached out to them and gave them their new growth percentage, and that since it's the whole county, that growth percentage for us on our tax base was 51,308. So I removed that I kind of highlighted the information there for you to see what all changed. And I just added the 51,308 to the applied cash. And then that resulted in a lower levy as well. So.
Ready.
So just for clarity, we had more revenue through this than we anticipated. Less revenue.
Right. We had more when we did it on the 26th, so I had to take that 51,000
So you had to
away.
deduct 51,000 out of our projected revenue.
Correct.
Because of the TIF.
Yep.
It wasn't Brenda's miscalculation.
Right. It's just timing. I would move to approve the modified resolution as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
There's multiple copies for everybody to sign, right?
Yep.
Good.
It's 3 copies. Thank you for
All right.
the amended
Next
resolution.
item. We had a note to receipt of Victoria Lane Road District petition.
Yes. So if you remember at the last meeting, we tabled it and then we continued it due to the fact that we weren't quite sure on the legal description. The legal description has been corrected. The question came about as whether they were taking in Victoria Lane, which they are not. They are forming the road district to repair the bridge. I did speak with Highway Superintendent John Bay, and there is no record of Victoria Lane or that bridge on any system. So it's strictly, they're just forming so they can repair that bridge, kind of similar to the
Colonel Kane.
Colonel Kane's, the late Colonel Kane's Calamity
Calamity.
Calamity Gulch.
Calamity Gulch, yes. So We did go ahead and post the sign out there because you have to do it for 20 days so that we would be able to do the order at the next meeting to declare it subject to vote. So I'm just letting you know there is no action. We just are, we have the petitions and we're
Okay.
moving forward with the process to hold the low district election.
Okay, next item, proposed 2024 county commission meeting schedule.
Mr. Chairman, in your packet, you have the proposed schedule. No need to take action on it today, just introducing it for your consideration and maybe take with you a look at your schedule and see if it works.
Okay, thank you.
I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, that December 10th does not work. Otherwise, I was good.
Of 2024.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll all take some time to review it and discuss it at a later date. Lawrence Emergency Management Quarterly Report.
I think Barb is here, Chairman.
Okay, anything to add to that, Barb?
So, no, nothing changed. Just our final quarter submitting.
Okay.
For reimbursement.
We're looking for a motion to authorize the chairman to sign.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Just the one. Okay. Lab services agreement for employee health care.
Mr. Chairman, this comes to you. This is in conjunction with the employee health fair. It's a bit different than what has been the case in the past. Now, I think Miami Health is asking to sign this agreement for laboratory services that they'll be offering. They know that we are not going to be drawing the blood, but they'll be doing the testing on our behalf. And so I know Paul has thoroughly vetted the agreement. I have looked at it. I don't have any problems with it. I'd ask for a motion to authorize the chairman to sign.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any further discussion?
So this is an agreement that we partake in the past.
So we've had the health fair, we've had the hospital has come and done the blood draws and done the testing. They've never required this kind of an agreement before. It's at that, no additional charge in that regard. It's just, I think, more of a formality. Perhaps it just sort of escaped their purview, quite honestly.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bruce, signed by the by or on the top?
Up on the by, do buy. I'll have an original for you, Barker, in a second.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks.
Okay, nickel funding request for $8,923.19.
So we received a letter from the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners. So we received $892,318.92, and they're asking for us to contribute 1% of that money back to the it's called the National Centers for Public Land Counties, the center, and to form this group. They did vote on this at the convention, and it was unanimous that we do this. So I don't know, were you at that meeting, Commissioner?
Commissioner Diver.
Yeah, this started with the Western Interstate Region, which we voted for this a year ago, and I did vote in support of the organizational aspect. And the 1% will generate, if every county in the United States pays it, will generate upwards of $9 million to one-time fund this organization. This organization will be proactive on public lands, so we're better prepared rather than scrambling. And for our lobbyists at DC, I support this for one major reason, is the second set of dollars that came from the COVID money came directly to counties. That bill was actually prepared by the executive director of NACO and run through Congress, through a congressman that supported it. Second money, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was but generated this $800,000 also came from a bill written by the executive director of NACO and carried to Congress by a congressman. So in both cases, they got that money coming directly to counties rather than going to states. So that shows how proactive NACO and WIR can be, and this association will help promote that in the future. We've asked several times for a lot of literature, and we keep getting the same things, but that's my understanding of the process from the ask. And they've asked the local organization in the states to send out invoices like this.
Mr. Jennings, so Mr. Diver, why are we creating, or why is NACO creating the Center for Public Lands County? What is this additional division going to provide that NACO can't do under their auspices?
Well, right now, they don't have a group that prepares and researches public lands. They have a public lands committee, and they have the WIR. Within those groups, they don't have the technical expertise to put together information that would support NACO's lobbying efforts. That's the best, quickest explanation that I can do. And like I said earlier, we're reactive now. So when we need something, we call that expert after the legislation is drafted. So this will have us better prepared and have our own staff to do. So that's the best explanation I can give.
Okay. Further discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll just point out, Mr. Chairman, this is a one-time ask, and they were going to break it into two payments because the payments came at two different times, but since we're behind, they've asked for the whole thing. I'd make a motion to authorize the auditor to pay this bill.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Brenda?
Do you want, if you authorize me, I can do a manual on it.
And put it in today's bill.
Well, I won't put it in
Just do a
today's, but
manual.
I can do a manual. It'll show up on your next bill list, but you're authorizing me. Other than
That would
utilities.
be in my motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Chairman, I have one.
Thank you. I hope I can give you the best.
Declare surplus
Chairman.
6 yellow oxygen
Chairman,
tanks.
can I speak on this a little bit more? So, this $8,000 is going to have to come out of some line item. I'm assuming Commissioner's professional services. Do you want to wait and see if we need to do, because we'll need to transfer some funds into,
Is our contingency exhausted?
we could do a contingency transfer if that's what you so choose, and then we wouldn't have to use any of this, of the 892. We could use that for, bond payments if we so choose, or construction.
Which
whichever.
is more efficient for you?
It's, if you could make the motion today to do a contingency transfer, and I could just get that taken care of, and it would be done.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
We have enough funds in our contingency to do this.
Yeah, we have
50,000.
All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
awesome. Thank you. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Surplus 6 yellow oxygen tanks. Who's heading that one up?
I can talk if you're
Go ahead.
okay. We have a request from the sheriff's office. They, I don't know if you remember the last meeting, they got those breathing apparatuses, and so these yellow tanks are no longer of any use. So we like to surplus them and get them destroyed. And they kept the harnesses that went with them, but these air tanks are obsolete. You can't fill them or anything, and it's best to just destroy them and get rid of them. So we just need a motion to do that.
So they'll end up going to some scrap metal place to. Okay.
I'll move that we declare the 6 yellow oxygen tanks surplus.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have, Chairman.
Sheriff,
Thank you.
I think we're up to you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is the time and the place set for a bid opening for what's been known as the jail communication tower project. Looks like you have 4 bids. Dave, we had a pre-bid meeting. It wasn't a requirement that the bidders attend, which is highly recommended, right? Because I think there were 3 that attended the pre-bid meeting, and looks like there were 4 bids. So
Yeah, there was one company that contacted me and said that they were.
But they all came timely.
Yes.
Brenda had to come in yesterday.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do is ask your permission to have a chief deputy open up the bids, and read them as appropriate, and then be asking for time to review the bids.
Absolutely. Come on up there, buddy.
I think you have, Brenda submitted a bid tab sheet.
Do we have them in our package, right?
Yeah, it looked like this.
That day there was one addenda to note as well, is that right? So we'll be looking for a bid bond and we'll be looking for the noting of the addenda.
Yes, I have.
Otherwise, that's gonna look into the Flanagan's file.
I got it.
So the first one is from Vinco Inc., V-I-N-C-O, looks like. Okay, we're checking now to see if they have their required bid bond. I gave multiple copies, didn't I? So I think we have some to share. Yep. Not a lot. Second page 5 is the bond.
The bond there?
Yeah, I think we're page 5, please.
%, is that the required?
That is required, yeah.
Yes.
It is there.
It's like it's in the required, can't really read it very well. It's in the required
Okay.
form. Yeah, very good.
Agenda acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's great.
Page
Check that.
19.
It's page 19.
No?
Let's see. So Dave, the addenda, they've noted on here. You want to come look at this? See. It's like the addendum. I think that's.
No, I think this thing.
Oh, yeah. Because what was the addenda? That was the who's gonna do the drilling.
It was to put the lines and antennas and do that installation. So if there were 2 separate items, bid items. So if there's a bid for both of them, then it's accepting should be a first page. There you go. So these are the 2 items.
So the tower's 218,000, and that do the add-on of the cabling and antennas is 57.
Looks like the addenda was noted then. It was actually bid. Right. Okay, fair enough.
That's the bid item 2 on page 25.
Yep.
So I think we're ready now to see what the bid is.
So for them, to build the tower is 218,000. And to add all the antennas and cabling, $57,250.
Okay.
275, 250, is that right?
57,250 even.
Yeah, so it's 275,000,
200.
250 total. Adding the 2 together.
Yes.
Set that one aside.
What's the name of this contractor?
The one we just did?
No, the new one
So
there.
the next one is Vicker, V-I-K,
Baker?
V-I-K-O-R.
So we'll be checking to see if they have the required bid bond. They do provided some copies.
So that's page 17.
17 through 19.
17 is the bid bond.
So it is there.
Yep.
Okay, we're looking to see if they know what the addenda.
Yeah, they did. Page 44. Page 11. They have it.
So yes, addenda. Okay. So then the total bid was
Bid for the tower, 143,193 and 54 cents. And then the antennas and all the cabling, 44,130, 44,135. Even.
Total rate. Working on it. Yeah. 187, 328, 54.
Okay. There's something else to talk about.
Sheriff Dean, what was the estimate?
We had talked about numbers, some of the neighborhood
Of 150 plus the addendum?
plus the
Okay. Did we have a number on the addendum originally? Okay, thank you.
this next one is tower systems. It looks like tower systems. And we're checking for the bid bond.
It's on page,
There's the pages.
it's on 9/93 spec. Find it there?
So it is there.
American Institution of Architects, big bond.
Okay. Now check to see if they've noted the addenda.
Yeah, they've noted the addenda. They have two prices. Page 46 upper right. And 47 upper right. Those are the two pages.
No, just number one.
Okay. So the total cost for
Is this just for the,
just for the bill,
okay,
137,760 even. Okay. And then the antennas and all the stuff associated with it, 32,762.
okay.
I get the total, my math, 170,522.
We have one more bid.
Is it Christmas, Bruce?
It is.
Pretty thorough.
Yeah.
170,527.
170,522. We got 200.
That was the one I had to track down. Found it up on McClellan and Lee.
Holy mackerel. Looks like it's from Sabre.
Sabre?
Sabre. SABR.
Look, we're through that.
This makes sense. That's funny.
I think that's two, yeah.
Is there an original?
The bid bond.
out the packet.
Yeah.
It's
Huge.
Good thing they're not building it out of wood. They already killed trees.
Keep the big black. More.
And all out. Keep a lot of papers to support them.
The bid bond is here. So that one you got right there. The red seal on the top.
Yep. 10%.
Yep. And then the bid is just before that.
So the bid just on the bill,
And the addenda's noted, right?
it's on the bid. 188, 250, 188,250 even. And then the antenna and add-ons is 44,676 even.
Total 232,926.
You got it.
You said 676?
Yeah. I just read that. Put it back in.
Okay, Sheriff, we'll give you your team some time to go through all this.
Yes, please.
Everybody.
See you next Tuesday.
Take the village. Is it extra?
Mine, this, I just so.
Why don't you take the roll?
You're gonna need a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Here's another copy. I think they gave us some extra
And what's
copies.
the check? Or flash drives.
All right, Sheriff. Looks like on our list, update on the Public Safety and Service Center project.
So we continue to progress. Happy to report there seems to be more masons on site, and their productivity is going well. When we last spoke, we discussed the water line that goes in front of the building, and everybody's hoped that that was going to be through common dirt as opposed to rock. And as things would have it, our hopes were not realized. Just 12 feet from where they had previously dug and found dirt, they found more rock. So I think they're through the rock at this point and are into regular soil. So we're hoping they can finish that out in the next day or so and be done with that part. At any rate, they've got some curb and gutter that they're going to put in. Continue to put in over the course of the week. They're hoping to get areas poured so they can keep all the construction folks out of the mud in the coming winter. Other than that,
Okay, sounds good. Ready?
Is that an asphalt paving parking lot?
they've already poured the concrete. There's a portion of it that's concrete. That's where the truck turns around and brings deliveries in for our kitchen area, but the balance of it is paper.
And they're going to do that this fall too, or not?
Portions of it that I understand they hope to do this fall.
All right. And we have the continuation ordinance 2023-01. The ordinance prohibiting jumping or diving from bridges. We had a discussion on it last meeting. We tabled it to this meeting. We did have some new information in our packet today from a neighbor that's quite concerned and dissatisfied with what's going on out at the Redwater Bridge. So further discussion, gentlemen.
Tracy Vetter was the.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, I remind everybody too that as part of the ordinance as proposed, would be that you've got a finding that is necessary for the immediate preservation of public health and safety, so that it would take effect immediately upon passage and publication, as opposed to 20 days thereafter.
Anything further to add, Sheriff?
Mr. Chairman, I would add that we serve the same constituency, and I've heard from people, as I'm sure you have, and I can appreciate the concerns of those folks that don't live out there, who have commented that in some ways this is part of our culture, but culture changes. And having somebody that grew up here, there are all kinds of things that we used to treasure in our area when we were a population of 6,900 people or less. And changes happen, often for public good. And we could probably sit here collectively and talk about those changes all throughout the balance of your time here today. And so suffice it to say, I rather like the community that I grew up with, but I'm also pretty fond of the community that I live in now. But they are distinctly different. The days of the passion play are gone. Days of kids going down to Williams Standard and having keep truck inner tube tires set aside for you so that we could tube up and down the creek. Those days are gone. 10-foot falls, something in the past. What is distinct about our present era is not a reflection on the kids themselves, but just rather social differences. I jumped off that bridge when I was younger. It wasn't a smart thing to do then, but the distinction was that event would likely take place by happenstance. You just bump into your high school buddy downtown, and a spontaneous decision ended up with some afternoon fun with 2 or 3 of us. Now there's social media comes into play, and it's no longer 2 or 3, it's a large group. And with large groups tend to be larger problems. When we get to a point where cattle are being harassed, fences are being cut, trash is being left, it's a different type of a situation. We get to a point where the crowds are large enough that they're impeding the traffic flow and creating a hazard. That's different. There's some other things that happen with large crowds. It's 12 foot 6 inches from the guardrail to the water. The water presently, or at the day that was measured, is 6 feet 6 inches. That in and of itself is not necessarily safe. But when you put a trampoline in the back of a pickup and you're using that, you're increasing the height. When you're standing on top of your mom or dad's SUV and you're jumping off the top of that, you're jumping in to 6 feet of water, 6.5 feet of water, from almost 19 feet up in the air. It's becoming dangerous. I would encourage the commission to vote in favor of this. There are things that we have tried, and we have tried them without success. It is taxing on our staff, as calls all over the county are taxing on our staff as we're getting busier. We don't have time, frankly, to run out there several times a summer and try to move the crowd along. It's time for this activity to move into history, and the county needs to move forward.
Okay.
I'll move we approve of the no jumping costs.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Bruce went up to change the date to today's date,
All right.
so he'll be right back with the.
Mr. Highway Superintendent. Looks like we've got a public hearings to, it's not 9 o'clock yet, so I guess we better handle some other business first.
Well, I don't have a lot, so should get you real close. I have a,
Can you wait with this approach till we have legal counsel in the room, please?
Oh, if you like, we sure can.
Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, it's fine.
There he is. Okay.
I have an approach permit, Mr.
Rick Fenhouse has applied for a private approach on a piece of property on South Rapid Creek Road. Site distance is good. It will require a culvert. There is no other access to this property, so it currently has no approach on it, and I would recommend approval of this.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
is this also known as Forest Service 231?
Correct.
So this is the piece that the court ordered us to take care of?
Yes.
So is it on our system, Bruce, or is it just the court action that we're taking this?
I don't know that we've ever formally added it, but through the court action, the Supreme Court, yes, it's certainly on there.
It is on the state's map.
Is it ours? I don't know if we've ever done a resolution. I don't remember. I think
So-
actually you did.
So is it our jurisdiction to allow this approach, or is that Forest Service jurisdiction? You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I think it's ours.
Personally, I see it just like Christian Drive, but we're not going to oppose this, but I don't think it's our road.
You could certainly approach it in that fashion.
If we approve it, I'd like to see the language similar to that.
To the Christian, like, you have to remember,
Do you remember what
we
that?
can,
Yeah,
to the extent that we have
authority to do
authority
so.
yeah.
If and to the extent we have authority to do so, we're not objecting to the installation.
The Forest Service turned it over to us, didn't they?
Well,
They didn't want to take it anymore.
the Supreme Court of South Dakota said congratulations, it's a baby, it's yours. And
They just upheld the lower court's ruling. They didn't really get into the part we wanted to get into.
they give no analysis.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I would move to approve this approach with that language. Follow the highway superintendent's recommendation with that language.
Mr. Chairman, since I'm new here, where does that leave the landowner then? If we're not objecting, do they have to go to the Forest Service?
They just don't.
They can just put it in because nobody's stopping them from doing it. Otherwise, we would have stopped them.
No, if it was our road, we would authorize it. The question is it truly our road?
But what if they do it without asking? That's a violation of who? Who would enforce that violation? Would it be us, the county, or the Forest Service?
Probably neither. Neither.
Neither.
Probably between us and the Forest Service, we'd be more inclined to do it than the Forest Service, if at all. Yes.
So essentially, it's our road.
Yeah.
South Dakota
I don't
Supreme
share
Court-
that. I don't share that opinion.
South Dakota Supreme Court would say, yes, it's yours.
So
That would be my motion, would have that language.
Well, want to read the motion back then?
It's to follow the recommendation of the highway superintendent and approve the private approach permit with the language that we used on Christensen Drive, to the extent that we have any authority. I'll have to go pull that from,
If any,
If
that the
it-
county does not object.
that we do not object to this. I'd have to go pull that motion. I can do that, but in a break,
No, it
but
isn't necessary.
yeah, but there was, I'll just go and find that and copy that in that motion. So that's what it will be.
Are you seconding it, Commissioner Sleep?
No, I didn't second.
All right, I'm going to second it for further discussion. Okay, seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Looks like it, we okayed it,
3-1.
we're okay with it. I mean, we're not
okay.
Exactly.
We're okay, but we're not.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, we have not done a resolution to put it on our system yet. Maybe we need to do that, but until we do that, it's not on our system.
I think maybe you did, now that I think about it.
I don't remember that, but
John, did they close Christensen Bridge?
No.
I saw, what did I see? I saw-
It was
a
an
cable
email.
went down
The
from
cable
the power
went
pole.
down.
Oh, that's what,
Communication, they closed
that's
Maitland for a little while.
It was the,
It was on the Maitland Road. It was the communication line.
Okay,
The
so
sheathing
no
bridge
bridges
is up
been
the road.
closed on it.
We never really closed the road. We were ready to close the road, provided they couldn't get it fixed. They did get it fixed in a timely manner. We were there just to offer some traffic control.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood.
Me too. I apologize for the emails.
I called.
Sorry.
It had nothing to do with the bridge at this time.
Well, we still got 15 minutes to wait for the,
Okay, well, speaking of bridges, we're back to the Whitewood Service Road, the box culvert that we've signed some documents last meeting. This is, I believe, the final document. This is the letting authorization. To get that moving along.
this is the one down by the feedlot there, by, is it Krauser? Got all that hay piled there and has a feedlot in the winter.
This would be 2 miles east of Whitewood on the service road.
I think that's where I'm thinking.
Where that drainage goes underneath the interstate. That's right. Just east of the Eden Road.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of hay stacked there for he winters cab for somebody.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to authorize the chairman, auditor to sign the letting authorization for bridge number 41-228-112 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye. That's going to be in the October bid package. You know,
This thing it's scheduled to be bid for 25, built in 25. It will probably go to bid, I'm guessing sometime
this year,
late
next year. This
next
time.
year. That's
Usually they're in October.
And the third item on here, and I only bring this to your attention because we received a letter. A gentleman by the name of Mr. Ken Halsey is requesting that we improve a section of the Mount Roosevelt Road. The conversation I had with him on the phone, I told him that it wasn't on our radar to do this work. It's a section of road we don't service it, we don't maintain it, we don't do snow removal. We have a section on either end of Mount Roosevelt that we have done minimal work to. We do minimum maintenance, we do zero snow removal. This is not that section. The only reason I brought it to you guys is just I didn't want you to find out about it, through another letter from him. So as far as any action to be taken, my recommendation at this time is to leave well enough alone. It doesn't service very many homes.
He came to us before, I think, years ago. You can, probably the quickest route to where he's at is up behind the Franklin and you get on.
That's correct.
Yeah, this came before the board many years ago, again, by the same individual asking for, so I'm familiar with it.
So anyway, I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. He did call and then sent a letter. So
Okay.
That's the reason I brought it to you. If there's
Commissioner,
anything that you would want to do, you certainly can.
Is this a Forest Service road?
This is a road that on the state map, it shows it as a county primary road. We've asked numerous times to have this road removed as a county primary road and at minimum put it to a county secondary road. We have not had any luck on it.
So it's a no maintenance now.
Right now, it is a no maintenance, a minimum maintenance road. It is not posted as no maintenance. It is posted as county maintenance ends, and that is on, the south end of the road, right outside of Deadwood city limits. On the other end of the road, just I guess it would be just west of the monument. There is no posting. We are putting a sign up that says county maintenance ends on that end. I believe there used to be one there, but it's no longer. We were going to post it, county maintenance ends there as well.
Yeah, I remember. So it'll let a sleeping dog lie. Well, Commissioner Sleep.
Do you need a motion on it? If you don't need one, I will make one. Otherwise, I move to follow the superintendent's recommendation.
Sounds like a good motion.
I'll second it. Further discussion.
But in general, I don't feel we need motions for no action.
Well, we're supporting our highway superintendent. That's how I look at this.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the motion before us will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Good question.
Right.
Who do we need to talk to get this removed?
Well, I've been working with, and the previous superintendent as well, with Larry Dean in Pier.
Okay.
And we've met, and he's been out here, and we've looked at the maps and the roads that we've removed from the maps. I did it again this year on our annual map. I posted the section that I put it as other surface. It's not gravel, it's not pavement, it's other. They give you that option, and I put it on there again. We'll see next year if it comes back. But as far as removing it, Larry Dean is who's been working.
Anything further on your, other than the hearing?
Nothing. The bridges, I got the report shows they did pour the concrete on the north bridge. As of yesterday, I went out there, the guardrails or the barriers are on the south bridge. They're getting ready to pour the sleeper slabs and do the pavement. They're not gonna make the date for their pavement, but the state has given them a waiver with a different design mixture, so they will be able to do pavement provided the snow doesn't get too deep.
Okay. We'll take a 5-minute break while we're waiting to the public hearing.
I've got a filler. We can do the items from later on in the agenda from 10 o'clock.
I already declared a 5-minute recess.
I like to check with
Madam Chairman. I'm gonna just mute the microphone for now, folks, for listening. We'll go back online.
Forest Service on
We're back live.
the east, so the Forest Service says they don't exist on forest anyway.
Right.
I guess that's, I agree with them.
Yeah. I can still got 5 minutes.
I could probably run through that 10 o'clock item if you want me to.
Go ahead.
We're back on.
We're back live. The auditor's office was contacted by an individual, I'll use her initials for now, with TH. I think she'd been contacted by the county's collection agents, trying to collect a debt for a court-appointed attorney bill going back to, I think it was 2010. The amount originally, I think, was $155.80. And then over time, it had escalated to, I think, over $400 with interest. And so the individual contacted the auditor's office, and I got involved. Keep in mind, too, that I think that the collection agency offered a settlement originally in the amount of $200 and then offered a counteroffer of $165 to settle this. And both of those offers have been rejected. So the outstanding amount, I think, has been certified to the clerk's office. It's been renewed because it's over 10 years old. It's $155.80. The individual would have you know that she lives on a fixed income and has a heart condition, and she cannot have any stress. And so I think when I talked to her on the phone, talked to her a number of times, she would tell you that she eats beans and rice every day. And so she's looking for you to waive that $155.80. I can add that there was another arrest 10 years or 4 years later in 2014 for a simple assault. There was an outstanding warrant that she was arrested on. But for whatever reason, there was some kind of an issue with getting that reported back throughout our system. So the sheriff or the clerk of courts had a warrant for her, state's attorney's office had a warrant for her, but the sheriff's office did not. So we got that cleaned up. Basically, how we did that was ended up dismissing the 2014 simple assault. It was her and her boyfriend. I think ironically on September 29th of this year, he was released from prison in Texas. And so she has gotten some value out of this by having that outstanding warrant charge cleaned up as well. And a number of people have spent a considerable amount of time on this, to include the auditor's office, the sheriff's office, and yours truly.
Okay. Discussion?
And there was a packet with information.
I have a question, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
On the second page, it shows that there was a
Geomed.
the meds, yeah, about $20.29 in medication, and that's not being recovered at the 155
It wasn't. I don't know the answer to that. I noticed that as well.
rather than the 176.
Yeah.
So the individual's asking for all of it to be erased, right?
Yes. And so, yeah, it's over at collections. So if you don't take any action, if you were to take action, we'd have to ask for it back from collections. But it's there now. So if you decline to take action, it will stay there. And I assume that they'll probably compromise it in some fashion along the lines that we discussed.
So you recommend to leave it the way it is, huh?
I would recommend
Drive
that
over and watch it.
you do not waive it. Historically, you have not done that, and I don't know that her circumstances is probably materially different from many others. If you do it for one, you're probably going to have to do it for others. I'm sure she's probably in a tough spot, but it's $155, and it's been out there for almost 13 years.
Is it continuing to take staff time to market it?
Well, hopefully today will be the end of it. Yeah. One way or another. It either stays with collections, or if you want us to abate it, then we'd have to ask for it back, and then we would probably start sending them statements out every month, I suppose, right? Or try to, yeah. So then we would go back and try to collect payments on our own. Theoretically, that would fail at some point, so then we'd go back to collections. I mean, we can do that. I mean, it's easy for me to say.
Do we need a motion of some kind?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to follow Bruce's recommendation.
Okay, motion and second for the discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is 9 a.m., a little bit past now. And this is a public hearing, petition to vacate a portion of the section line. The applicants are Wolfgang and Kathleen Schmidt. the way we handle our public hearings is we'll let staff bring us up to speed on this, and then we will allow the public to stand up in favor of or against this um, application. If you do choose to stand up and speak, please state your name and your address for the record. And at some point, we will then close the public hearing and offer it to the board for discussion and action. So Bruce, do you want to?
Mr. Chairman, so I think before you are petitions to vacate two separate pieces of a portion of a section line, I think wholly contained on the Schmitz property on the road. You've seen the Schmitz before, leading from Van Acker Canyon Road to the Dalton Lake campground there. So they circulated two separate petitions. There are two separate resolutions for you to consider and act on. In both cases, I don't think that access to the public is impeded in either way, with alternative access being through either Van Acker Canyon Road or Dalton Lake Road. So with that, I think if staff makes a recommendation, be a recommendation to approve.
And also the applicants are
Yeah.
here.
I see that. Would anyone like to speak in favor or against this at this time? Or the Schmitz are here if you'd like to get up and say anything on behalf of, or is it covered good enough for you?
Well, we'd like it vacated, so
Yeah.
we need to say.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, well, we'll close the public hearing and offer it to the board.
Yeah, so there's two different resolutions, and I'm checking online. I don't see anybody wishing to comment online either.
Okay, we'll give that, I guess I closed the hearing, but I'll reopen it if there is someone online. I'm still getting used to having that system. I'm not seeing anything, so it stands as it is. It's up to the board's discussion or action.
Mr. Chairman, reviewing the two petitions, I think both are very appropriate. So I would move to approve resolution 2023-18.
Well, second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make the same motion for resolution 2023-19.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right.
That's 20 days.
So yes, that has to be published in the paper, and then after 30 days, that will be filed in the register of deeds. Okay?
Bless you. Is it 20 or 30?
30. Is that for a referendum?
Bless you.
That can be referred, or what is
I think it's appeal.
appeal?
Appeal.
Thank you.
All right.
I can go get Amber. So I'm gonna mute the meeting for a second here while we transition. We'll get Amber. Yeah, I did have it on.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Miss Amber?
Do you want me to share these on the screen? Looks like we don't have any up, so.
I have to drive up. I did have it.
See it, you?
Oh, I did have it at home this morning. Just type in drive.
It's right there. Looks like it's just something wrong. Whoops. All right, so this is just a final plat. This one is regular zoning 8/40. They're basically just breaking out this 2.5 acre parcel for a cabin. But the remaining of the tract is 58.72 acres. Meets the density requirements. This fire plan that they did is only going to be on the tract 1A, the 2.5 acre lot, because they're requesting that the rest of it just leave it as is. And then if they would decide to, subdivide, obviously they would have to come back in and redo any new lots that they want to do. But that's what this one is. It's just a breaking off a 2.5 acre parcel.
Okay.
The only thing that we are trying to add to all the plats is the notation about the SDCL 11312, which is basically, where we are, by approving the plat, we're not taking on maintenance kind of a thing. We have that on all the plats now, but we're trying to add it in the staff report as well.
Move approval.
Okay. We have a motion for approval
I'll second.
and a second. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Welcome back, Commissioner Diver.
It's kind of lonely up here.
Do we want to go through one more? I
You're
see
second,
Michelle's
Dave.
not here.
So this JCJ lot, this one is a lot 4A and 1A1. You guys had approved this previously, like about a year ago. And in the meantime, the other one was under JCJ LLC and Coffs. Coffs still owned a portion of it. But since that time, the ownership changed. So JCJ LLC owns all of it now. So in order for us to redo the final, we had to take them off as owners because they have no ownership in it anymore. So it matches the original preliminary that you guys approved a year ago, which was, good for 2 years. But in order to get the final plat recorded, we had to fix the ownership. So you've actually already approved it, but because we have to do a new Mylar, it's better for you guys to reapprove it just because then we have to put it back to board. What it's doing is it's making it so the portion that's zoned highway service commercial sits on its own lot because it's one of those pieces that's like half highway service commercial and half park forest. So it's just, and then you're going to see a CUP for this next meeting.
So it's not changing the zoning, it's just changing the lot to comply with the zoning.
Yes. Yep. And it's fixing some mineral survey load little pieces too.
Commissioner Divers.
The fire plan was completed. It says submitted as completed.
It is on that portion. There really was nothing to be done.
On the other. Okay.
Yep. On the commercial piece, there was nothing to be done.
I move to approve the final plat.
Second.
No, it ends up.
Okay, that's all right. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Further discussion, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, we're gonna hold up on these and Michelle's here. Would you like to come up?
Sure, absolutely.
Michelle's last meeting.
Well, we've decided we won't let her go.
Oh, okay.
Slaves have to be sold, and
Yeah.
thus far, we don't have a bid on yet.
We have an hour time slot for you today.
All right, let's do it. I really don't have an official report.
Well, we need to go.
Yeah, we do.
It is incredibly bittersweet. If I'm being honest, it's been
Thank you
7.5
very much
years.
for everything you've done.
I should say, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. This is a thank you. So share as you see fit. Any questions at all? I mean, from my perspective, just so you know, I absolutely adore Butte and Lawrence counties. They're phenomenal counties, people, the program, everything about it. It's just a matter of falling into something that is full time and a passion area of mine. So I'm going to go for it. I have great confidence that we have very qualified candidates, and it would be a great place to move. So I am anticipating once Board of Regents gets the ball rolling that the position will fill.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. So thank you very much.
Very welcome.
And thanks for coming and spending a few minutes with us one more time.
Well, I'll leave you with chocolate.
Do you have a sense of the timeline that the Board of Regents is looking at?
To be honest with you, no. I mean, we all know we would like it to be done tomorrow or next month. If you're familiar with the process of Board of Regents, I mean, they've already put in, obviously, the reality I've resigned. It goes across numerous desks before it actually even gets posted. Once it gets posted, there's a whole other process that involves both Butte and Lawrence County. Oakley Perry is the individual that we zoomed in not too long ago. And so you will probably be hearing from him. And he is actually coming across the state on October 23rd. And so I have an evening set aside where he will come in and he will meet with you, Lawrence County leaders, constituents. You know, we really don't want all 300 constituents showing up. It's more for the leaders to ask their questions, ask the timeline. If I had to do a guesstimate, I mean, for sure by fair next year. That's been a big question. For sure, I would anticipate that, but I would say between 4 and 6 months. It seems like a long time. Like I said, there are counties across the state, for example, that just don't have the population, don't have the same draw that we do. So I think this will be a favorable position, and I will advertise it as such. I am happy to work with whomever they choose, happy to be available. Cindy Riley is an anchor. She's the administrative assistant, and she holds the 4-H program professionally and personally, and the leaders are very amazing as well. So
You've had good engagement with the volunteer leadership for the 4-H program?
yes. And through our 7.5 years, we've seen a lot of change, and we've seen a lot of beautification, and I anticipate that will stay.
All right, thank you. Any further questions of Michelle?
Just one other, Mr. Chairman. The job description is not changing from what yours was. Updating the job description.
They are not.
Okay, thank you.
They are not. The reality is, as I've said in months past, and so you are aware, Butte and Lawrence, they are almost third as far as numbers in the state now. So it's a large program. It's a lofty position in terms of capability, capacity, but we have great support. We have great support from commissioners and the community. So your support makes a huge difference. But it should be the same, overseeing both counties and continuing forth as such. You'll see a big difference in the extension work, and so whomever they choose, extension work, when it comes to extension work, it's a matter of meeting a need of the community as well as matching the strengths and the expertise of whoever is in that position. So I will continue with all of my mental health work. That's a full-time position for me now. Character All-Stars will stay. I've already worked that out with the schools. They'll hold the program at least for this year, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, good luck with your new venture.
Thank you.
I should say. It always takes a long time. Didn't really apply. It took a long time. There's a lot of people that apply and don't want to wait that long, and so they get another. That's the way it works.
It is.
Just so.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Miss Amber.
Okay.
Tomahawk.
This one's a preliminary plat for Tomahawk. This has been coming for a while. We've worked on this, but basically it all started because they wanted to redo their golf cart structure, and they found out that it was actually sitting portion of it sitting on the Sawyer Memorial Tract, but it had been there for years. So as part of that, but then when they got into it, you know, there was a lot of platting that had to occur to fix the lot line, and then with Sawyer Memorial being the memorial tract, it wasn't as easy as just deeding property back and forth, and so there was kind of took us a while to get to this point, but the plat, this is the preliminary. There may be some changes between the preliminary and the final. You can see right down in here, this is that existing structure. So this is what kind of started the culprit all down in here. Let's see if I can pull it over. So they're trying to make that existing maintenance building meet that 25-foot setback and fix all the issues so that they can go in and we can issue a building permit for a new structure in that same location. So this is what started it all. I know Brad was working with the DOT on this, and this is the part that he's not sure if it's going to change or not when it comes to the final plat, because the DOT wasn't sure if they wanted it dedicated or not. So that's where he's still working with the DOT on that a little bit. So the preliminary is fine. He'll have it figured out by the time he asks for a final plat, because it's Highway 385 that runs through there. And so he just wanted me to let you know that the dedication of it may change by the time it comes to the final plat.
Okay. What's your pleasure? Do we have to
Acreages that each entity owns changing? Or they just keep acreage the same?
They're about the same. They're not a big difference, because what it is like the Sawyer Memorial Tract currently is broken into a bunch of mineral survey loads, so they don't have like a boundary on everything. So that's what they're doing with this plat. So they have one big parcel. And then Tomahawk, I think, was the same way. It had a lot of little pieces. But I think overall it's about the same. There may be a few little ups and downs, but not much.
I move to follow the recommendations of planning and zoning and approve this preliminary.
Yes, you should do exempt on
We
this
need
one.
to
Sorry, because it's a
declare
lot line
exempt.
adjustment.
Is that your motion, sir? Yes, it is. Did I hear you?
Let's move, you can
Second.
fill in the blank.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Who was the
Declare it
second?
exempt.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, Commissioner Jennings.
You may do that same one then. I'll
Yeah.
move to approve or follow the recommendation of planning and zoning and approve the preliminary.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Maybe this one, remember?
This one ended up being a lot line adjustment. So this would be an exempt plat. And this is a preliminary and a final. So what they did is there used to be a little tract in here called the CMAR tract, and that was the Crook Mountain Angus Ranch tract way back when I think it was Jim Wilson that owned that, right? Is that right? Yeah. When Jim still owned that. And that I think was his original house. But in the meantime, that has sold to other families. And they would like to basically move this CMAR tract to go back to here. So it'll be tract W1, and they're taking in all of the structures. So there was a shop building and 2 sheds and whatever. So the new tract the CMAR tract goes away. The new one will be W1, which will be 30 acres, and the remainder of that is 50.274. They did provide a flagship down to touch the Crook Mountain Road here, and then there's an across the existing driveway, plus coming up that little flagship to get to that back lot. It's a shared kind of a driveway easement coming into the property because it's existing, it's already there. This is one of those that Bruce has requested that we put there would be no access permits approved by the county, but a suggestion of shared access points to all lots, and that the county road has no maintenance. Because that's not a county road. It's Crook Mountain Road goes there, but we don't do anything with it. So we've been trying to add that language in there. That's pretty much it. Preliminary and a final on it.
We need a motion for exempt.
Yes, it's a lot line adjustment.
So move we exempt it.
Okay, I'll second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So the easement, the easement to that north part?
Yep.
That was a 40-foot easement?
It's a 40-foot driveway easement, yep,
Uh,
and that's acceptable to one lot.
So what happens when they want to further develop that lot?
They wouldn't have enough easement to do it.
And that would prevent them, or they would just have to go and?
They would have to go and either talk to the neighbors and try to get a wider one, or it would prevent them, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe that's on purpose, is why they're doing the 40.
Further,
Move to follow the recommendation of planning and zoning and approve the preliminary and final.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary as well as the final. All those in favor, Brenda?
Are we adding the wording,
Yes,
this
Yep.
road is not a county road?
please.
Thank you, sorry.
Everyone understand the motion then? All right, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
This one is a lot line change as well. So this one's kind of interesting. This has, it's lot 1A. So originally the Herald and Lottie loads were broken into 4 lots. So you had 1 and 2 of the Herald load and 1 and 2 of the Lottie load. This is down off of Wasp, you know the Wasp Road, Yellow Creek area. You're way back up in there, off of Mountain Lion Road. But the person that purchased the Lottie, lot 1, built a cabin and whatnot in there. They have since purchased lot 1 of the Herald load, so they actually want to combine it back into a 10-acre chunk. So it was 2 5s. Now they want to go back to 10.265. It does have existing access actually coming up this way. There's a 40-foot private access easement, and then there's also an easement on this side. The easements are going to stay intact right now, but either way, they have existing access because they come in this way and come to the cabin back here. So just lot line adjustment again. It's combining it, making it bigger versus going the other way.
Move to make this exempt, declare it exempt.
Second. Okay, motion and a second to declare it exempt. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to follow the recommendation of planning and zoning and approve the preliminary and the final.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the preliminary and the final. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The last one. Black Hills Development and Powderhouse Pass. Let's see if our sheriff has come back.
This one is, you guys had actually approved a plat on this one. They broke it up a different way. Now they came back again because they didn't like what they did with that one. So they're making it bigger again. This is going to be that kind of proposed commercial area right when you come in to where like their community center is. It's that whole kind of corridor right there. Originally they had a weird easement coming through here, and they opted to just make that whole tract bigger. There was going to be a pickleball court thing up here. They took that back out. So it's 4.795 acres. Access will run along Embers Way. So the access will come off of their subdivision road. And then there is an existing public access out this way. And that was done in 2023-1529. That would be coming off of the DOT highway. And then this is existing access coming here on Powderhouse Trail. This plat has been updated a little bit from what was in here, and the printed copy is here. It just shows the surfaces on these as asphalt.
Do we need an exemption of that fire plant?
No exempt. It's
Mr.
the
Chairman.
existing fire plant still
I
counts.
have a question.
Okay.
Is this the one that had the 66-foot easement going.
There
to
was
the-
a weird little easement coming through, like down here, maybe from Embers Way across. It had a weird.
Has that
piece
been
in there.
vacated or wasn't that ever?
It was. We never recorded it. They opted to not record that, and then they're resubmitting it here, and they took it out.
Thank you. Move to follow the recommendation. Plan and zone and approve the preliminary and the final.
I'll second it. Further discussion? You look puzzled, Commissioner Jennings.
I was just trying to figure out why they didn't draw a straight line there on the southwest part of that lot.
West.
Not many straight lines in this county.
Well,
Here?
or on the lot.
Here?
Up above there, on the part that they cut out. Yeah,
This?
through there, yep.
Well, because their intention is this is where the community building exists now. They have a pool and stuff in here, but they're expanding it back here. So I believe this will fit all the setbacks of the new stuff. Does that sound right, Lauren?
Yeah, I think they're kind of following a fence line.
They have an existing kind of boundary there.
So it's an occupation line that you're making the property line.
Pretty much. Yeah.
They changed their minds a lot, so.
They do. Further discussion?
You know what that.
Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary as well as the final. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's
Mr.
all.
Hintz, we're gonna let you come in early,
That's what I
buddy.
heard.
10:15.
We're killing frogs way quicker.
Are you guys gonna have the baseball game on this afternoon?
Welcome again.
How we doing?
We're here.
I am too, my first day. I got started last week a little bit, worked at home, but I'm here this week. Just want to come in and let you know I'm starting the audit. Plan is to try to get it done by the end of the year. That's the deadline, I guess, on the bond. But I don't know if we totally agree with Toby Morris, but anyway, we're gonna try to get the audit done by the end of the year. That's our plan. I've got a trainee coming up next week. We've got a new employee that's been with us about a year. She's gonna be here helping me next week. So if there's any training time or anything like that, we adjust our time. You guys won't be billed for that. You know, we've got that built in. We know about how many hours it takes to do certain segments of the audit and everything. So if there's any concern, we track our time for the details. So other than that, there's nothing really new, I don't think, this year. Typical audit the grants, look at the financial statements, you know. I'll stop, let you know here, and see if you guys got any questions, and if you don't, I'll be around and working in the back room over here. Got some questions or anything, feel free to stop by and visit. Take care of whatever you guys want, got questions about. I got the original engagement letter here, entrance letter, if I can get signatures on this. So
Commissioner Diver, you had a question?
Yeah, you do multiple counties, right?
do pretty much all counties. Our department does all the counties.
Do you do several yourself?
Yes. Yep.
So when legislative audit reported to the summer study on counties, they reported on court-appointed attorneys. And in Lawrence County, they reported the court-appointed attorneys separately from the public defender's office. So they reported that our expenses were $200,000 and they're actually $800,000.
Right.
Do you normally separate those out?
I'm not, I'd have to do some looking because there isn't a lot of counties that have their own public defender office. And I was gonna say, there's too many. You guys, Pennington
And Minnehaha.
Minnehaha. I'm guessing, I'd have to look at our chart of accounts too. I'm guessing, because I think is separate codes in there for court appointed attorneys, which is contract hired out attorneys versus a public defender's office, which is a department. So I'm guessing that it's separated out. And that's a financial reporting issue, I guess, because that's how it shows up on the financial statements. You know, and report that run compares. Now, as far as the costs, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that's still all court-appointed attorney type costs in my mind, I guess.
Public defender. Right?
Yeah, right, same type of thing. But yeah, if you got two lines, somebody looking at it, maybe doesn't understand that that's all the costs involved. But So I think it's kind of an accounting thing, the way our chart of accounts is set up, and we differentiate between it, I'm guessing, because one is an actual department of accounting. So,
Thank you.
All right.
So we just need a motion to authorize you and myself to sign the
What if
interest.
I don't want to sign?
we're gonna get a bill anyways.
You want to sign it, Brandon? That's probably the bigger question.
You promised to be nice.
And the state reimburses us this money?
You usually have very few issues here. Okay, we're waiting for a motion from the board here.
We're coming next. So,
Allow the signatures.
I'll second that, but I do have a question.
Okay.
So this is required by the state.
Right.
And paid for by the county.
Right.
Thank you.
Do I need to know that?
Yes, it needs to be in the minutes.
All those in favor of the motion before us will say aye.
Talk to your later.
Opposed?
How's that for you?
Motion carried. Just one document, Brenda?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
All right, Bruce.
Okay, if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Well, Black Meadows at 9:45. Bruce is done. We're getting caught up.
Should we do the public?
We could.
Can we do those early? Is that permitted?
Yeah, it says right in the agenda that these are approximate times.
So we understand the public?
We do have some people online.
Right here.
Is there anyone in the body of the audience that would like to, any public comment at this time?
Well, thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. Do we, Brenda, can you get us back on the screen, please? And
There we go.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask if people are addressing us in the public, if they turn their microphone or their camera on also along the microphone.
Okay. We're going to take some public comment at this time. You're probably very familiar with how we do it. We'd like you to also turn your camera on so we can see who we're listening to, and you'll have 3 minutes to for the discussion. Is there anyone online that would like to speak at this time? And if you do, please state your name and address, please, for the record.
Hi, good morning. It's Nicole Braithwaite. I'd like to speak.
Okay, Nicole, can you turn your camera on for us?
Yep, you bet.
Thank you.
Good morning. Yep. Good morning, Nicole Braithwaite, 3135 American Eagle Road in Spearfish. So regarding election integrity, in war, truth is the first casualty. You can't build a future on a bad foundation. The whole of the United States knows the election was stolen and we need a resolution. The consequences of allowing a stolen election are profound. The impact is global, and we're seeing that right now. The turmoil we see are consequences from a stolen election, illegal infiltration, economic collapse, world conflict, and U.S. destruction. It's really easy to see. They think we're stupid, and we're showing them that we are by not safeguarding our elections. President Trump in New Hampshire yesterday said, "Think of what our country would have been like if the election had not been rigged and stolen. We'd have the strongest border ever, the best economy ever, peace in the Middle East, no endless wars, cheap gas and groceries, no weaponized DOJ. We're being marched to war by the people who orchestrated the stolen 2020 election." Marjorie Taylor Greene also commented that since Biden admin's open border policies have allowed our country to be invaded by millions of unknown people from over 160 countries, including terrorists, will the Biden FBI keep targeting January 6 protesters, or will they question any of the pro-Hamas protesters and their connections since they were out using their free speech against Israel today? Or is it the stolen election crowd that are the real threat? The world is in disbelief, witnessing the continuous failure of this Barack Hussein installed bribe and freak show of incompetence as a result of the 2020 stolen election. The Democrats have a plan, and we crazy conspiracy theorists can see another stolen election in 2024. Do you really want to be part of the downfall and ruin of our country? I know you don't. The past 3 years have brought us epic failures and mind-bending decisions by this illegitimate administration, a system that has no problem printing currency without wealth, will have no problem printing votes without voters, among other things election integrity related, and stealing another election. We need to lead the state and ultimately the nation, ban the machines, and implement hand counts at the precinct level. I recently had the opportunity to attend the Cause of America Train the Trainer event on hand counting. Patriots from across South Dakota were taught a suggested process with forms and instructions that is provided at no cost to election authorities who opt to make the change from machines to hand counting. The Cause of America team believes that the more registered voters who learn and understand this process, who are willing to volunteer to assist auditors with hand counting during elections, and who are willing to spread the word and train others, represents a grassroots movement that could help to secure elections nationwide. In conclusion, those who attended, including me, will be working to teach others that hand counting is easy, possible, and inexpensive. When the day comes, and I have faith that it will, that you all finally agree that things need to change, we will be ready to help. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Anyone else online? I don't see any. Jackie, did you wanna, any comments today?
I do not. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Donuts. Oh, that's a 3 minute.
Sorry.
I still wanted donuts.
Okay. We still have, we'll take a 5-minute break here while we're waiting on Mark Tees to get here. And I think that's gonna be close to completing.
Do we have Rebecca? And the county.
We'll take items from the commissioners at this time while we're in a holding pattern. Does anyone have anything to offer the board?
I don't.
Commissioner Sleep and I and John Bay are gonna go out and look at the trees on the Homestake Road that are in question of removal or trimming, so hopefully we will put that to bed. We're gonna do that today. That's all I have to offer.
Well, I think I'll offer the next time I'm here that I'll go talk to Larry Dean and see if I can get the attributes on that about Roosevelt, because what they have in their database, you don't get online. They go into the attributes, and it tells when the resolution put a road on the system.
Okay.
So I'll see if I can dig into that.
right,
So if
thank
we have any others, I'll ask John too. Last time I was there, we made some corrections.
Do you know whether the city of Spearfish should start a comprehensive plan or not?
I haven't heard. Brandon was.
Yeah, I know it was.
But in the since you brought up the city of Spearfish, we have not seen the resolution on the roads are transferring. I'm concerned that they're doing single resolutions and sending them to the state rather than having it come to us first. Because if you send a single to the state, it just sits on his desk. You have to have both of them before he can act for both bodies. So I don't know if you've had your meetings recently with them.
No,
But maybe we need an update on that, because I hate to see that just linger.
Well, the costs and the interest rate is so much there that maybe they're dropping out on some of that stuff.
Well, and there was a resolution by the State Association of Counties that would require cities to take on streets when they annex both sides. And the original resolution came to the executive board, and they had a distance of 1,300 feet of 1,320 feet. And the executive board removed that distance. So any street that they annex both sides of the road through this resolution, if they can get it to the legislature.
That's coming up hopefully this next session.
Yeah.
Who sponsored that?
They had someone up in Brown County, I think. But and it cleared. I think it cleared their meeting at the convention too. I don't think any of those resolutions got kicked back.
That would be a good action.
And at the stock growers last week, they want to revisit section lines and how they're the accessibility of section lines. And so the counties might want to keep an eye on that, as we're going to have some legislation too.
I hope Brandon will comment on some things that'll fit in with the county on city comprehensive plan. Right? That'd be worthwhile.
Did anybody sit on the lead one? They're doing one too.
Yeah, they're done now.
Amber, of course, should.
Yeah,
she does. Okay, anything further from the board?
I did attend the strategic planning session for the Deadwood Lead Economic Development. It's a pretty good morning, had pretty good engagement. I was impressed with the board.
Okay. Anything from you, Commissioner Sleep?
No, I was just, I'm concerned about the time it's going to take to get the shell replaced.
Yeah.
They don't move fast out there, I'll tell you that.
Is there something we can do to help with that?
Just the process that they follow just takes
it took quite a while to get the shell placed back in the day.
And is it because they're the agricultural charter that goes through that university?
I think so.
Yeah,
that gives them a whole bunch of extra money.
Yeah, I think it's just their human resources process that they follow. By the time they got to go through the steps to accept the resignation, and then they list the position, and take time for applicants, and then vet the applicants, and then get the interviews done. All this just takes a long time.
And that's at the university, not with the Board of Regents.
Well, the Board of Regents has to declare the vacancy.
Where does that take place, Perkins?
Usually, yeah. I was on a search team for the I think it was the dean of the Ag and Bio. It's not Ag and Bio anymore. It's CAPS or something like that. I don't remember what it stands for. But, a lot of those interviews and meetings were done on Zoom, just to accommodate a larger group of people.
So they can't even take applicants yet.
I would, well, it didn't sound like it. Sounded like there's people interested in it, but they couldn't apply for it. I don't know that they've listed the position.
Those people get on the ball to you talk to, they're interested, and then they wait so long that they drop out because they need their job, and they don't have the time to wait it out.
Is Mark gonna come?
I know, I was just wondering, it's
He's
not
usually-
like him to be.
He had to wait a long time last time. Maybe he thought it wasn't. He come a couple hours late, because I think it took us a couple hours to get to it last time.
But I think they have regulations that they have to have a position open for so many days before they can close it. And so it just takes a long time.
You call Amber and see if she's ready for it.
So they don't appoint a temp or acting. So it just goes unmanaged.
I assume so. I suppose they must shift those duties to somebody. They would about have to do that.
You think so?
I mean, if there's
Pay
no
the bills,
duties that
keep the
need to
lights
be
on.
covered,
Better keep
why
the
do we
lights
have
on.
the position?
Right, yeah. Better keep the lights on somehow.
I would guess that Cindy's probably covering a lot of this.
Yeah, and that she is.
Or whoever Michelle's supervisor is.
Yeah, the state pays her, so they are on top of the situation.
Yep.
You know, since we're sitting, waiting, I thought the second meeting in August was effective this year. We had a small meeting, but it was effective.
I think it made some of the meetings before and after easier.
You know, especially with the demand we have on planning and zoning.
Right.
But, so I think we scheduled 2 next week or next year. One had a question mark by it. We used to just have one in February and one in August. We did 2 in February too, didn't
Yeah.
We did. I don't remember. We did 2 in
we? Did we do 2 in August?
I don't think we did.
We did 2 in
No, we
February.
just did one
Are
in
we ready
August.
to do that on our?
I meant February, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, well, your timing's perfect.
Awesome.
Have a seat and tell us what you learned.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would turn this discussion over at this point to our consultant, Dave, to inform you as to some of the particularities of the bids.
I might chime in as well along the way.
That's
Bruce, that's that one that I thought Jeff was going to be before. I can do it, Tom. The teasing.
well, we're okay.
He'll
We're on
be
another issue
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, of the 4 bids, we had we kind of threw out the top 2. So the lowest 2 bids were Vicker Systems and Tower Systems. Tower Systems being the lowest bid. They're both, from a technical standpoint, they're both compliant with what was in the bid for the tower requirements. The difference is that the Vicker has a service and maintenance office in Rapid City, and Tower Systems has their closest maintenance office is in Watertown. And we had asked in the spec that they have a service facility within 300 miles.
Or 5 hours.
Or 5 hours approximate driving time. Tower Systems is more than 360 miles away. Is what Watertown is, 6 hours drive. And they say it would take, for an emergency response, they ask for 48-hour response if something happens. Tower, Vicker's out of Rapid City. Which they do say they'll guarantee 24 to 48-hour response time. But that's really the difference is in that service response time and how close they are for a maintenance facility.
Well, but we still have the ability to accept or reject the most responsible bid, correct? Not necessarily the lowest.
Well, so I think that what you have is probably all are responsible bidders. They all have bid bonds. But the question is, are they responsive to the bid specification? And so I think that Dave has highlighted in one respect where the low bidder, I leave it to you, it has responded to your call for specifications. And it sounds like they're outside of the 500 or 300 miles and or 5-hour response time. So, right?
Okay.
So you'd have to find that the low bidder was, although responsible, was not responsive if you want to proceed to the next bidder.
Commissioner Dever.
Well, I'm a little confused. We required a 5-hour response time, and the bidders are saying 24 to 48.
Well, it's, the requirement was that the service facility be within 5 hours.
Okay.
I think that they set their response times as pretty conservative to make sure that if there's a tornado that goes through and wipes out half the state, then they have a lot of work to do that maybe longer to get here. But,
So,
yeah,
Go ahead.
but the
follow-up
actual-
question. If that tower's down for 24 hours, what does that do to you?
Well, it's difficult, but the reality is that we do face that with different radio channels and different systems. So we have backup systems, and then we would have to employ one of those.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think in the bid comments to the low bidder, I would highlight the fact that they would say that they frequently or often have a technician in the area. So that would probably be their workaround for the fact that they are not within the 300 miles or the 5 hours. But that technically isn't what your specification calls for. I guess I would leave that up to you to determine that.
Yeah, they say that they do work in the West River region and often have technicians within 200 miles of Lordstown. But they do acknowledge that their office is 300.
So what is your recommendation to us?
Well, so I guess for other reasons, they are both compliant technically, but the Vicker bid does give a little more flexibility in its design.
What's an office in Rapid City?
So I want to be very clear. So although they're both qualified bidders, responsible bidders, is it true that the low bidder does not technically meet the specifications?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Diamond.
Well, the difference in the bids is $6,800 and change.
Yeah.
So it's
17,000 for the
17?
Yeah.
16,806.
187 and 170.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
And I think too, there's going to be an additional expense that we haven't talked about. More than likely, because we'll need FAA sort of clearance on the tower. It's a new site. My understanding is that we're more than likely going to need to have an environmental impact study done as well. That when you go to check the box on the FAA form, they'll ask you if you've done so. So more than likely, we're going to have to do that, and that's probably an additional $10,000 to $12,000 and about a month's worth of time. But that doesn't factor into your decision making on who is this lowest responsible bidder or anything like that. But I just throw that out there as an information item as well for context.
So how do we get the ball rolling on that?
Well, so I think first of all, first things first is you probably have to deal with who you're going to award the bid to. And you'd have to find that the lowest bidder is not a responsive bid. That's how you want to proceed. And then award the bid to the next responsible and responsive bid.
Okay.
Yeah, 10%.
So am I looking at the correct one here? This is for tower.
Tower is the one in Watertown.
Watertown, yes, Richard. I think so.
They're quite a little less.
Towards the end. 9/93 it was.
Oh, so they did have a 10% bid bond.
They
only
did have
had
a
5.
bid bond, but they didn't have it.
Which one did that?
The lowest response
Tower did.
or the lowest.
Only
So
5%.
you could find that they weren't responsive in that.
So the spec called for 10.
Well, yeah, I mean, that should automatically.
Good find.
Close them out.
Yeah, I would think so.
So there'd probably be that and also the required response time, disqualifiers. So.
So the just a question on the I think it's the Vinco They say Webster County Public Safety Radio Tower Project RFP as the header.
Yeah. What you think?
Okay, what's your pleasure on it? We've obviously got some discrepancies on the lowest one, so what's your pleasure on awarding a bid here at this time?
Mr. Chairman, based on the tower systems not meeting the specification for response time and only having a 5% bid bond, I would move to approve the Vicker Systems bid.
As the lowest
As
responsible
lowest
bid
responsible
and waiving
bid.
any irregularities.
Yes.
And implicitly you're rejecting the other bid for
Yes.
those reasons you stated.
Yes.
I'll second
that.
I'm not sure about any explicit. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Sleep?
Yeah, what happened if we rebid and said that should the tower system ought to consider their rebid, consider their distance to that in the rebid.
Richard, I think you could reject all the bids. Then of course it's time and money to redo it. And then I'm going to wonder if at that point the same folks will bid again because now their best price is out there. And so I don't know that you're going to get all those people to bid again.
I'm afraid that if we do, it'd be more
Be an
expensive
auction
as well.
at that point.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to award the bid to Vicker. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And Mr. Chairman, the second issue will be this EIS. Do we have permission to proceed or do you need any more discussion or information on that?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
are they requiring a phase 1, phase 2, or a full EIS?
It's a good question. I do not know.
And then the EIS, I mean, everything's disturbed.
Right.
Is there a waiver for the EIS from the FAA?
I don't know about a waiver, but the idea I think is probably because it has been disturbed that there probably wouldn't be a response and we proceed rather quickly. Is that fair, Dave?
Yeah, that would be the hope. Really, the sticking point often uses with the SHPO, which is the State Historical Preservation Office, and that has to do with the tribal approvals of this.
Notification and approval.
Yeah, and a lot of times the tribes will say, well, that was sacred land for some reason, or I think it might be a burial site or something. But in this case, if someone does object, one of the tribes says, we would say it's been extremely disturbed already by the building of the law enforcement. So
3 times. It was a junkyard. It was already excavated for another plan, and now it's excavated again.
Right. So I just can't see there being much argument.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh,
is it
may I
true,
finish?
is it true, Dave, that we will try to find an exception if we can somehow avoid the EIS, we will?
Yeah,
Some kind of waiver?
Yeah, and it's really, I don't think you need a full environmental study. This is really focused more on the ship of the historical traffic.
Well, I know that the reason the FAA wants this is because they need the obstruction survey. Most penetrating item in the conical surface for the air patterns. That's what this is all about.
Well, this is separate. So that FAA
Airspacing?
Yeah, the approval to build it because of the airport. They've already sent the notice that it has been approved. So I got the
Okay, so you have that approved.
yeah, it's the determination of no hazard to airspace, and that came in last week.
It should be like a 404 or 104 or something.
Yeah,
Like
so
that.
it's actually surprised it came in as quickly as it is, but it's so we're good there from that standpoint. We're building the tower. Now it's the and actually you don't typically you only have to do this on a tower that's over 200 feet tall. In this case, we wouldn't have to worry about we don't meet that because we're at 100 feet. But when you go to put antennas on it, you get FCC licenses for each of those stations. And when you fill out that FCC license, you have to check a box that says this meets all federal regulatory standards for nuclear.
So the FCC goes back to the FAA, which goes back to NEPA.
Right. Yeah. Your tax dollars will work.
Everything goes back to NEPA.
Okay. Do you need a motion, Bruce?
Well, I think, yeah, we need probably a motion to proceed, and then I guess so we can figure out where it would come from project costs. No, this is not part of the building project. It's going to have to. It's not budgeted for. So, I don't know if the sheriff at this point has an idea of where it would come from, or we can address that issue at some later point. Make sense? I think for now we need to get started.
Commissioner Diver?
I'm a little concerned that we got the cart ahead of the horse. We approved the bids. We can't sign the contract till we can give them notice to proceed. We can't give notice to proceed till we have this permit.
That's what I have to look into, because really what you need this for is the licensing of putting the not necessarily building the tower,
But
it's for
putting the
putting the
items on.
antennas on.
Okay.
So it's a strange situation because the tower is short of the 200 feet. Normally I would say, yes, you're right, you have to get all this approval done before you start construction on the tower. But in this case, technically you could build the tower without doing this, but then you can't put anything on it. So,
Cart's still behind the horse. It just has a loose wheel. All right. Looking for a motion.
I would move to proceed with the permitting through the FAA that is required.
Is that enough language, Bruce?
I think that'll get us started.
Okay. We have a second.
How far does that get us? Are we gonna have to revisit this then to proceed to the next step?
I don't think so.
We'll have to approve the money.
Yeah.
Just the funding.
Yeah.
So I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carried. Okay.
Dave will help us with that.
So you'll get back with some dollars, time frame in dollars at some point, so we know.
About 10 to 12,000, about a month.
yeah.
Who doesn't?
What's that?
Who will do it?
Well, I'll get a quote from a company that we
Is
use
Amber here?
out of Iowa called GSS, and this is kind of what they do.
Well,
is
she
they
said she'd take care of that.
And what happens is they have to send out notifications to all the tribes that are in the area, and then the tribes get 30 days to respond. Typically, they don't respond, and then you get.
And where are they located? GSS.
GSS, they're in Iowa, in the Wayne area.
Could you contact Respec in Rapid City and FMG in Rapid City and see if they do them?
Yeah.
See if we can get it local. And then if they don't do them, then we can justify having a
You can handle this one.
Respect.
Respec, RESPEC.
Yes.
I would rather wait because there's
And FMG.
a more involved process than
Okay.
just transferring.
Okay.
Yep.
See if they do them.
All right, well.
Give the locals a chance.
I told him he
Yeah.
might get.
Yeah, at this time, we did have our public comment period
Look at that.
I think we have some people in
advertised
the
for,
Oh, Mark is here.
He just
Marcus,
walked
take a
in.
quick break.
pardon me?
Can we take a quick break?
Okay, real quick break. Then you're up, Mark.
I'm gonna mute it for now, folks. Back on schedule, I think, with Mark Teason coming up next from Homestay Flash.
phone.
They don't really.
No, I don't think so. I can give a quick
Well,
explanation.
we'll call the meeting back to order, and Mr. Peterson, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So Barrick is doing a corporate reorganization, and as part of that, LAC and Homestake will be merged. Right now, Homestake, LAC is a single member limited liability company, and it's owned by Homestake, and they're both subsidiaries of Barrick. So this would just basically bring all the LAC properties in and change them to Homestake properties. We have 3 CUP permits up at Richmond Hill. 116 was the original one, and then 125 was an amendment to that, and that was for the land application and storage pond enlargement. And then another amendment 202 for the clay and limestone quarry. So they all revert back to the original conditions of the permit. And there were 16 of those total. And so what we'd like to do is just change those into Homestake. And one thing that I have done is gone through and done a file review and looked at the conditions that exist. And I thought I would go through those because there was the original CUP permit under St. Joe, and then that got changed, and there was a CUP written for LAC. There was a couple of changes that were incorporated during that change, but there's been a few other changes along the way that haven't been incorporated in the conditions. And so I don't know if you want to go through those. I can tell you what I've got on record, and maybe we can, if you want to develop a new list of conditions based on these changes.
Yeah, the thought process I have, because these old ones are really hard to track because we don't have them digitally. So it's literally a piece of paper over in a file. That's all we have. I have not had a chance to go over and dig those out. Mark's always had immaculate records. So what I'd like to do is do an actual digital condition showing exactly what they're asking for, that the 3 CUPs are being transferred from this person to this person, and then have you guys effectively say, yes, we're okay with the transfer with these.
So we'll let Mark
updated
finish his
conditions.
presentation, and then
We would
give you
have to
some-
work
then give
together
you
on
some
that.
time
Yeah.
to digest it.
Come back
Yeah.
another day.
Yeah, sounds good. Commissioner Duggan.
Well, I don't even think we need a presentation today because it's not where we're going. Because I look at CUP 116, which is mining and processing, that there's none taking place on the LAC site in Richmond Hill, right? And I look at the amendment with land application and storage part enlargement, that would be taking place in water treatment.
We're not using the land application anymore. In fact, it's been eliminated.
And
that area's been eliminated.
And CUP 202, the clay and limestone quarry, is complete in the reclamation. So I think we could put this into one CUP, which is what the conditions are today, which is the water treatment. Everything else is done, isn't it?
The site is fully reclaimed other than water treatment facilities.
I don't know if you can combine them into one. They still have to stay as separate CUPs because it's no different than any other CUP. We have to transfer the ownership from the original entity to the new entity. We will keep these CUPs in place because I believe they're all tied to your state records, because when we get the state stuff, it says, whatever per CUP this or whatever. They utilize these numbers, so I'd hate to lose the numbering, but I think we could combine it as an amendment, and we could say amendment to CUP 116, 125, and 202, the land transfer went from this person to this person, and then we could do an updated conditions list, is what I'm thinking.
Do we have an opportunity to close out some? That's my question. If so, this is
Well, it would
the time.
depend on if it's still tied to any state stuff, I think. We can't close it out if the state hasn't fully said this can go away.
I think we could work towards that goal. Why carry these on forever if they're not needed?
That's something that
I think P&Z staff and the applicant could work through that with the state.
Yeah, that's kind of been a question all along. And, when do you close these out and whatever. whatever, the site's been closed now for many
Yeah, we
years.
can
Well,
work
in
on
1983, when we started the construction up there, and then 6 years ago, we did our last monitoring and they closed out the monitoring reclamation, right? 5 years ago. We hadn't done it in 20 years, so it's went through all of
Okay,
that.
well, we could probably close out the discussion today and have you two work together to come in a later date.
What I'm thinking, Mark, we could do is we could review all these, just you and I could sit down and go through them. I think what I would like from the commission today is to make sure that, because I believe they're looking for that you're okay with the transfer taking place where the ownership stuff is gonna change, but we would work out the details on like the conditions and stuff. That's kind of what I'm thinking you need.
Yeah, what the permit says is that in fact, it's read the condition. Any change in ownership of the company or transfer of the conditional use permit to another company shall be reported to the Lawrence County Commission no more than 10 working days after such change or transfer. The new ownership or company shall meet with the Lawrence County Commission at the commission's convenience to review and accept the conditions of this permit.
Yeah, so I think that's his concern, is just making sure you're aware that they are gonna transfer and then.
Do we need a motion?
And then also, you clean them up later.
So do the minutes need to reflect that we have our 10 days notice?
I think so. And may I ask one question, Chairman?
Yes.
So, Mark, I think I would recommend the commissioners that they go ahead and authorize the transfer at this point, subject to some housekeeping to come back later on. Do you need to walk out of here today? Is it your desire to have that transfer approved?
Yes. Yeah, and I guess the new ownership shall meet with the Lawrence County Commission at the commission's convenience to review and accept the conditions of this permit.
Yeah, well,
And that's where my question comes in, is that
We don't
if
know
you
what
look
conditions.
at the latest set of conditions, they don't reflect the permit change, all of the permit changes that have occurred since this was issued.
Okay, well, you guys can get that all
So
ironed
let's-
out, so we just need a motion today to approve the transfer.
I would move to approve the transfer and ownership, subject to the other conditions being reviewed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
And then Mark, we'll just work on getting a clean list for them, and then I think we could probably have that back. Do we need to bring it back before you on the 24th? That was my thought. And then that way we can have a better kind of tracking of all
Yeah, if
those.
you have it all ironed out by then.
Okay, that will be our intention.
Commissioner Hyder.
Does P&Z need to review this at all?
No, because it's you guys are the only ones that have to review these transfers.
So, Mark, either October 24th or November 14th are the next 2 dates.
Okay.
It doesn't matter at all.
I'd have to look at my schedule, but I think I can make either one of them work probably.
Okay.
I was gonna shoot for the 24th that we can.
Can always move it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can call you can just set up.
We'll just set it up now if you want to while they're done. You guys are done
Yeah,
with
we're
me,
done.
right?
with
Yeah.
that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we did have a gal join us that would like to respond for our public comment, which was scheduled for about this time, so.
Yeah, it's a little early then.
Yeah, well, we're kind of ahead and then we're kind of, anyway, I just remind you to please state your name and address and we allow you 3 minutes. So you have the floor.
All right, great. Good morning to you all. My name is Delia Prestia, and I reside at 1918 Absaroka Street. I'm here to express my concern over several aspects of Lawrence County election. Ever since the 2020 election, numerous efforts have sprung up on national, state, and local levels to request verification of the election. The overwhelming response has been that there's nothing to see here, take our word for it, all is above board. Our First Amendment right to petition our government has been met with extreme scorn. Further, it is a government that has seemingly empty pockets to fight against citizens in court. I find it ironic that the citizen petitioning the government not only has to foot the bill for the petition, he foots the bill through taxes to pay for the government to respond to him. I experienced this firsthand when trying to hold off counting of the KLA campground votes until signature verification could be accomplished in the 2022 general election. And how is this upholding our ability to petition the government? It seems that with all the distrust in the elections, an easy solution would be to audit. However, we found out this is not possible since most of the counties are not aware of what cash flows records are, much less how to read them. Are you not the least concerned that Lawrence County does not have the CBRs or the ability to read them? Our county pays for them, but they are in the possession of ES. Many, if not all of you, are business owners. Would you feel comfortable if your accountant had full access to your bank account statements and balances, and all you had access to was the funds, with no knowledge of how much was in the account or what transactions have transpired? This is a situation with the CBRs. I personally find it chilling that a third party with no residency in Lawrence County is the one who owns the auditable items of our election results. One of your many tasks is to certify election results. Are you really confident in that determination when there are over 1,000 people registered to vote in one campground on Old US 14? I've heard several of you express dismay at the influx of residents coming here and the deleterious effects it will have on the state. The multitudes of votes coming in via personal mailboxes alone has a capability of totally overturning the whole climate, socially, politically, and culturally, of both Lawrence County and the state of South Dakota. I want to be clear that I am not accusing our county elections of being nefarious. Rather, my concern is that we are suffering from the fraudulent kettle effect of elections, and by the time it becomes clear that there are indeed problems with the system, it will be too late to turn back. In 2020, when all counties were strongly encouraged to use the ES&S machines, the enticement was federal dollars from the state, which filtered down to the county level. I fear the state of South Dakota and the county of Lawrence have sold out for federal and state funding. We are beholden to ES&S and we've been stripped of all oversight and accountability. I strongly urge you to get rid of these machines. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if somebody online wants to speak as well.
We already did.
We did Nicole already.
We've already covered it, so I'm going to close the public comment period. We've done it. Going to take a short break here while we're waiting on our next person. Bruce, I need to close it.
Is this executive session?
Well, we don't have this individual here.
Will you brief us if they're not here?
Yeah, but they're coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm positive about it. So I'm gonna just mute it for now.
I rescind my motion.
Okay, so recess.
Definitely.
Are we off?
We're not on.
We've had probably 3 or 4 people.
Do we need Bruce?
Okay. All right.
President, do we need Bruce here?
Yeah, we will need Bruce. No, so, but
We can probably go ahead and
go in.
go into executive session. Need a motion for that?
10:31.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session.
Okay.
All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
That's pursuant to SDCL
Green light.
Okay,
So we'll come out of executive session without any action.
so at 10:39.
Anything else to come before us here?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to repeal resolution number 2020-09.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to repeal the resolution. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to invoke resolution 2023-22.
That's a political activity policy.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Everyone understand the language? All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Rebecca, very much.
Thank you very much.
Did you need to talk to Sheriff
There
at
you go,
all?
Bruce.
I know you got depositions.
Is there anything else that needs to come before the board this morning?
And 40.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So we're
We're adjourned.
Yeah, you can just declare. Yeah, you can.
I did.